His phone rang. It was Emily, but when he answered, she didn't speak. He could hear muffled voices, laughing, moaning, and then a male voice, Adam's voice. Who is Adam? And why didn't Emily say anything? Watch the video to find out. Jacob and Emily had been together for over 3 years before they decided to get married. They met in college while studying marketing, both driven and competitive, with big dreams of landing jobs at a top firm. They supported each other through long nights of studying, celebrated their wins, and held each other during their losses. It seemed like a perfect match. After graduating, they both applied for positions at the same marketing firm, a prestigious company that could launch their careers. Jacob got hired, but Emily didn't make the cut. Emily was disappointed but quickly found a job at another marketing firm. This one was smaller, but the pay was good, and she liked the challenge. The only issue was that her team was mostly male, and her supervisor, Adam, was a charismatic, good-looking guy. Jacob, who had always been somewhat insecure, started to get anxious about it. Late-night meetings, business trips, and happy hours with her male colleagues only fueled his worries. "I don't like that you're always with those guys," Jacob had said one evening after she told him about another late meeting. "Jake, come on, you have to trust me," Emily replied, trying to calm him down. "I would never cheat on you. It's just work. You know how these projects are, long hours, client demands. But it's always late. And business trips? How many of those have you had in the last month? It's the nature of the job. I know it sucks, but it's not like I'm going to dinner with them just for fun. It's work." Emily sighed and took his hand. "You have nothing to worry about. You're the one I married." Jacob tried to believe her, but the nagging doubt never really left. He couldn't help but imagine what went on during those late-night meetings, the ones that always seemed to run longer than she'd originally said. But Emily continued to reassure him, brushing off his insecurities as paranoia. Everything changed one night while Emily was away on another business trip. It was around 11:30 p.m., and Jacob was in bed scrolling through his phone when it happened. His phone rang. It was Emily, but when he answered, she didn't speak. He could hear muffled voices, laughing, moaning, and then a male voice, Adam's voice. The sound of a bed creaking sent a chill down Jacob's spine. He knew what he was hearing. He sat up, frozen, his heart pounding in his chest. "Emily? Emily, are you there?" No answer. Then the call cut off. Jacob immediately called her back. Once, twice, 3 times, but each time it went straight to voicemail. The pit in his stomach grew, and a sickening sense of betrayal washed over him. Finally, about 20 minutes later, Emily texted back. "Sorry, I was in a meeting." "What's up?" Jacob stared at the text in disbelief. A meeting? At this hour? He didn't reply. He couldn't bring himself to confront her yet. Instead, he decided he needed to get to the bottom of everything. He needed proof that what he heard wasn't just his mind playing tricks on him, but the doubt that had been gnawing at him for months was finally too much to ignore. The next morning, Jacob hired a private investigator. He knew it sounded extreme, but he needed to know the truth. He gave the investigator Emily's itinerary and asked him to track her. For weeks, the investigator followed her on every business trip, every late-night meeting, and it didn't take long before Jacob had all the proof he hoped wasn't there. The investigator returned with photos, receipts, and even hotel bookings showing that Emily had been sharing a room with Adam on every single business trip. They weren't just working late, they were sleeping together. Jacob's heart broke as he flipped through the photos. Pictures of Emily laughing with Adam, pictures of them entering hotels together late at night, receipts for dinners and drinks. It was all there. Jacob sat in silence for a long time, staring at the evidence. His worst fears had been confirmed. She had lied to him repeatedly, and now he had undeniable proof. But instead of confronting her in a heated argument, Jacob decided to take his time. He wanted to make her pay for what she had done. He wasn't just going to end things, he was going to destroy her career and her reputation. A few days later, Emily was busy preparing for an important presentation. It was a high-stakes marketing campaign for a potential new client, and landing them would be a huge win for her firm. She had been working on it for weeks, spending late nights perfecting every detail. "Jake, this presentation is going to be a game changer," she told him over dinner one night. "If we land this client, it'll mean big things for my career." Jacob nodded, playing along, all the while knowing what he was planning. He had already figured out the password to her computer. Jacob was planning to swap out the images in her presentation right before her big day. Instead, he would fill the slides with photos of Emily and Adam together in compromising situations, screenshots of their text messages, and hotel bookings that made everything crystal clear. Emily had no idea. The day of the presentation arrived, and Emily was nervous but excited. She stood in front of her entire team, the CEO and the potential client with their team, ready to wow them with her pitch. She clicked through the first few slides, confidently explaining the strategy they had come up with. Then, suddenly, the slide changed to a picture of her and Adam at a hotel. Emily froze. Her eyes widened in horror as she quickly clicked to the next slide, but it only got worse. There were more pictures of her and Adam laughing together, entering hotel rooms, and receipts for romantic dinners. The room went dead silent. Her face turned bright red, and she could feel the stares of her colleagues, her supervisor, and the client burning into her. She frantically tried to stop the presentation, but it was too late. "What is this?" the CEO demanded, his voice sharp. "I don't know," Emily stammered, her hands shaking as she fumbled with the laptop. This wasn't supposed to be here, but the damage was done. The client stood up, clearly offended, and walked out without another word. The CEO glared at Emily. "In my office, now." Emily was fired on the spot. Adam was fired too. The potential client had been lost due to the sheer unprofessionalism of the situation, and the firm wasn't going to take the fall for her personal affairs. That night, Emily came home, still in shock, her eyes red from crying. Jacob was sitting on the couch, calm and composed, waiting for her. "What happened?" he asked, feigning ignorance. "I got fired," Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. She sank onto the couch beside him, tears streaming down her face. "Someone messed with my presentation. They put all kinds of inappropriate things in it." Jacob sat back, crossing his arms, somewhat amused. Oh, what kind of things exactly? And what was so inappropriate about them? Emily's head snapped up, and she looked at him confused. "Do you think it's funny?" "Yeah, I kind of do. I think it's funny how you cheated on me, got caught and exposed, and ran crying to me about it. I know everything, Emily. The late-night meetings, the business trips. I know you've been sleeping with your supervisor." Emily's face turned pale. "What?" "No, Jake, I'm not sleeping with anyone." "Are you seriously trying to lie your way out of this? You do realize your own presentation is full of proof of what you did." Jacob yelled, finally letting his anger show. "How do you know?" "Wait, it was you." "Of course, it was me. Who else would care about you cheating?" "I know everything now. The private investigator I hired made sure of that." Emily's mouth hung open in shock. "You hired a private investigator?" "That's right. And now, thanks to you, you've lost your job, humiliated yourself in front of your CEO, and ruined any chance of landing that big client." Emily started sobbing, burying her face in her hands. "Jake, please, I'm so sorry. I lost everything. I don't want to lose you too." "It was just a mistake." "A mistake?" Jacob sneered. "A mistake that went on for months? Don't insult me. I'll do anything, please. Just don't leave me." "I love you," she begged, reaching out for him. Jacob stood up, looking down at her with cold eyes. "You don't love me, Emily. You only love yourself. I'm filing for divorce." Emily's sobs grew louder as Jacob grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. "You brought this on yourself," he said quietly before walking out, leaving her alone in the wreckage of her career and her marriage. By the end of the week, Jacob had filed the divorce papers, and Emily was left to pick up the pieces of her shattered life. As for Jacob, he walked away knowing that he had exposed her lies and taken his revenge. The betrayal had hurt, but watching her lose everything had brought him a sense of justice he couldn't ignore. What do you guys think about this story? Let us know in the comments. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.